Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jeff here, and welcome back to the show. So, whether or not you're watching this video on YouTube, on the YouTube channel, or maybe you're listening to this podcast episode on one of the podcast platforms, your preferred platform, what we're going to be talking about in this episode is this idea of pushing forward. Okay, pushing forward versus holding back. And more specifically, how I want to frame this podcast episode and or YouTube video, the way that I want to frame it is by saying this: are you pushing forward? Or are you pouting backwards? Are you quitting? Are you wanting to stop? Are you not wanting to persevere? And so I'm bringing it up with that comparison here, pushing forward versus pouting backwards, with the story here, with the situation that happened last week. It was something with my son, and I'll just tell you real quick. I'm going to tell you real quick kind of the intro to it, and then we're going to jump into this episode. So real quick, we got back from the cruise. And that Thursday, I had to take him to Taekwondo. He goes to Taekwondo about 2 to 3 times a week. Was getting ready to take him to Taekwondo. He hadn't been in over probably a week and a half, and he didn't want to go. He wanted to play with his toys. He wanted to stay home and do all the fun stuff. But I said, look, we got to get doing this. You've got to go. And so it took a lot of convincing, a lot of persuasion, but he finally went. And then when he went, he had a blast. He was having a fun time. And then even during that and after that, something even better happened that he was looking forward to. So with that, I know it was a long intro. That's what we're going to talk about in this episode. I'll see you in just a second. All right, so welcome back to the show. So in this episode, again, I mentioned I was going to be talking about this idea of pushing forward versus pouting backwards. Okay, so we can look at it here as, are you pushing forward, or are you stopping? Are you quitting? Are you wanting to hold back? Is there something that maybe is keeping you from persevering, from pushing forward? And before I share this story here real quick, there's a verse that just comes to my mind right away. It's one of my favorite verses, and it's probably because this is one thing that I struggle with, and this is why it's one of those verses that I've memorized since I started memorizing verses years and years ago when I first became a believer. And it's this verse, is James 1:12. It says, "Blessed is the man who perseveres under trial, because when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life to those that God has promised." So, as we think about that verse there, James 1:12, it says, "Blessed is the man who perseveres in a trial." Now, that's obviously synonymous with, you could say, blessed is the man, blessed is the woman, blessed is the child who perseveres under trial. But as you think about this idea of pushing forward and persevering, it's very easy these days to quit, to stop. I mean, there's a lot of things to be distracted by. There's a lot of things that we could say, okay, life is not going well. Life is tough. The economy's terrible. It's not going well. The job market, it's really tough out there. Situations with maybe your family or having your kids listening to you, those things are tough these days. If you're a dad or a mom, there's a lot of things that we could say, okay, I'm just going to hang my hat up here and I'm not going to try. I think I'm just going to surrender to the fact that if I push forward, nothing's going to work in my favor. But if you're like me, you've realized that that's not true, that we do have to push forward. We're not guaranteed. Just because you're a believer in Jesus Christ doesn't mean that you're guaranteed this easy life. That's not the case. We're not guaranteed anything easy at all. Now, we are guaranteed eternal salvation. We trust in Jesus Christ. We are guaranteed eternal salvation, but we are not guaranteed that we're not going to have struggles. We're not going to have problems. We're not going to have pitfalls. We're not going to have these issues that we're going to have to overcome and break through. Okay, we're still going to have to deal with the nuances, the struggles, the pains, the trials of life. But we can push through and persevere if we have the right attitude, right? Absolutely. So I'm going to get to the story. I'm going to get back to the story. So it was Thursday. Remember, I shared that we just got back from a cruise, and I actually posted, if you hadn't had a chance yet, there is a video on my YouTube channel. If you go to jeffjerina.com, go to the bottom of that website, you'll see that little YouTube link or image. Click on that, and you can watch that video But you're going to see there, I think I talked about the benefits of being ready. I think that's what I labeled that podcast episode or that YouTube video. So we get back from the cruise and it's Thursday, and that's one of the days that I take my son to Taekwondo, and I take him about 2 to 3 times a week. Okay. So it's Thursday and he's been playing all day in his room, like loves to play with Legos, dinosaur stuff. What else does he do? I don't know, a bunch of other stuff. There's a bunch of different things, Star Wars type of stuff. He loves playing with those kind of things. And so if he's been here all day and now it's time to take him to Taekwondo, something that he loves to do, but yet it's taking him away from what he really loves to do more, staying at home, playing with his toys, video games, whatever that is. Now, he does have limited time on video games. But if we're taking him away from something like that, he starts to pout, starts to complain, get upset. And he's always saying, I want to stay home. I don't want to go. I don't like Taekwondo. I don't like it. And I'm always saying to him, I said, okay, the moment that you are not smiling in Taekwondo and you're not having fun, then that'll be the day that I take you out of it. But yet, every time I take him, as soon as he gets there, he has a great time. He loves it. After he's done, he says, man, I love Taekwondo. But what would he love to do more? Play games. Now, as I'm thinking about this, and I've spoken to the senseis, the instructors in Taekwondo, they say that, look, your son is not alone. In fact, probably most of the kids that they coach deal with this. And it always comes back to, well, I don't want to do something difficult. I don't want to do something tough if I can do something easy. Why would I want to do that? And in martial arts, whatever it's Taekwondo, karate, whatever that is, what I've seen here with my limited experience over the past couple of years of my son in Taekwondo and comparing it to sports that I've played and then coaching other sports, basketball, tennis, those things like that. What I've seen here in coaching soccer is that martial arts it doesn't just teach you the skill set of that sport, but it's also teaching you virtues. And one of these virtues is perseverance. When I'm talking to him, my son, trying to get him to go in those moments, I'm having to really convince him and help him to understand that, look, you got to push forward. I know that you want to stay here and do the easy thing and have fun. But if you go, you may end up having more fun. And you're going to end up getting a benefit from going that you would not receive if you stayed here and you sat back and you pouted backwards and you didn't want to push forward and try. So in that moment, what I was doing was I was just kind of sharing this with him. And I'm sure that, you've had these moments if you're a parent with your kids at some point, and you have to find some way of helping them see that, look, pushing forward, persevering, even when it's tough, right now is going to be better for you than sitting back and not doing anything at all. And so finally, I convinced him to go. Now, during that drive there, he was still having some moments here. I would say probably about 10 minutes where he wasn't happy. But, I just kept saying, look, we got to push forward. We got to push forward. Let's give it a few minutes. Why don't you wait and see how you are the first 5 minutes? And if you're not having fun by then we can stop. But yet, just like any other time he goes, he has a great time. He loves it. Now, by him going, this is what I want to tell you. He was smiling. He was laughing the whole time. And right before he finished, they had him do his particular pattern, and he had to do some sparring. So 2 things. Actually, I was thinking it was one thing, but now I'm realizing there was 2 benefits here that he actually happened. By him going that Thursday, what happened was he pushed forward, number 1. But because of that, because he persevered, because he didn't hold back, because he didn't quit, because he didn't, want to just stay sulking and moaning and complaining and pouting, because he pushed forward, even though he didn't want to, he ended up not ranking up, but he actually got another level to get ready to rank up this week. He got another stripe on his belt because he did his pattern great. And then at the end, they had him go against the whole class. And, well, they were about to, and he ended up winning in a point system. 4 rounds that he had, he won every one of those, and they had to end the class. So afterwards, I said, Eli, what'd you think about that? Was that awesome? He said, Dad, I love Taekwondo so much. I got another stripe, which is going to get me even closer to now being a red belt, because he's an advanced blue belt now in their ranking system. And I got to go against those 4 guys, and I won all of them. And I said, how'd that make you feel? He said, that made me feel awesome. Now, here's what he got because of that. Now, hopefully when I share this, it's going to make sense. But right now, in the rank that he's on right now, they punch with these little gloves right here. Okay. And you got to remember, these are young kids. So they got mouthpiece on, they got a helmet on, they got all this stuff. So it's all safe. But now that he's got that other stripe, and then this week, and Thursday of this week, the time that I'm recording this, Thursday of this week, today's June 11th. I'm recording on Tuesday, June 13th, Thursday, because he went that Thursday. Now he's going to rank up to red belt. He has to test for it, but he's going to rank up, and now he's going to get to use these gloves, the bigger gloves. These are the big boy gloves that everybody in that Taekwondo studio, every one of those kids loves. That's like the big deal to them. So again, he pushed forward. He persevered. He didn't pout backwards. He didn't stop. He didn't wait. He didn't continue to wallow in the situation that he was in. I know he's playing with his toys, but I want to bring that up to have this reference for you in your life. A lot of times, the situation that we're in, we think of those as we're playing with toys. We're doing something that we want to do for fun. And yet what the Lord wants to do, he wants to stretch you. He wants to push you forward. He wants to help you go the next step in your life. And in order to do that, you have to get out of your comfort zone. You've got to push forward. You have to persevere, even in the midst of trials, even when you don't want to, even when you feel like it's not going to do anything. Because a lot of times, even when you push forward, you may not get the results. You may not get the bonuses that I just shared that my son got, like having the potential to rank up, getting that stripe, and then going against those 4 guys and winning those. You may not get those. But what you will get, I think no matter what, is you're going to have this feeling that, hey, I moved forward and I can do this again if I get into a situation where I have to. If I run into another trial, I know that I can look back on that experience, that other time, those other times that I persevered and pushed forward before, and I can realize that with God, I can get through this. I say this verse all the time, Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ Jesus who strengthens me. So I'm going to close this down. I know this was a short episode, and I hope what I share, the story about my son pushing forward to go that day to Taekwondo and seeing kind of the bonuses that he got from that, I'm hoping that you see that, you know what? It's more important to push forward, to persevere, than to sit there and to hold back and to think, I want to quit. I want to wallow in my self-pity because I'm not getting the results that I'm expecting. And I'm speaking to myself here. Please know I'm speaking to myself here. And so I hope that what I've shared in this episode is going to encourage you, and I hope it's going to bless you, and I hope it's going to help you in some way to push forward, to go that extra step, realizing that when you do that God is right there with you. It says in Scripture that He is with us and will watch over us wherever we go. So know that today. Claim that promise. And if you're struggling with persevering and pushing forward in the midst of trial right now in your life, then I would just ask you right now, just go to the Lord in prayer and say, Lord, please help me push forward right now in this moment. Thanks a lot. Again, hey guys, you can check out all the resources, books, courses, and everything. And I'm working on a new book right now, guys. I would love for you to reach out to me if you'd like to kind of get to pre-order that copy right now. Reach out to me on the contact page at jeffjerina.com/contact. And so what I'm doing is I'm working on getting that book published before the end of the summer. I'm really trying to get it out early July to mid-July. And I would love to kind of get your feedback on it and see what you think of it. And again, you can pre-order that copy now. Just send me an email at jeffjerina.com/contact. Have not created the landing page for that. So that's why I'm saying go to my contact page. But you can also send me an email at jeff@menunplug.net. Thanks a lot. God bless. And I'll see you on the next episode.